All right, welcome back to another edition of Four Downs with Danny J.
And Mr. Wright.
All right, so for fourth down, we are going to discuss something that BYU fans kind of took a little flack for over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I think it's well deserved.
Hmm.
Storming the field. Okay, after BYU won in double overtime over Mississippi State, students rushed the field. And I was thoroughly embarrassed by BYU fans. College game day the next day, and there you had one job segment brought that up. I just didn't feel like it was warranted. In the SEC, a school can get fined $250,000 if students storm the field. So it's got to be the right time to storm. So,
well, there's reasons why things like that is there's safety issues. The other team's still on the field. Fights break out. I mean, you hear plenty of stories of things happening when students rush the field, and a lot of the time it ends very badly.
As someone who's been on the field for those field rushes, both positive and negative, been on the field working with the team, I didn't enjoy it. I can understand sometimes. Yes, there are times to do it, but not this last week for BYU fans.
Okay. Well, let's just kind of look at the BYU season so far and maybe add some context of why these BYU students. Now, I personally would not have rushed the field. That's just who I am. It was homecoming. This season, there has been one game, that was not down to the last drive. Either a win or a loss for BYU. It is double overtime. They're emotionally invested. It's against an SEC team who, like we talked about earlier this week, isn't a great SEC team, but they're not like the worst. So I can see why.
I see why. I do.
I personally wouldn't have done it, but I don't think it was warranted. You had one job, shout outs and stuff like that. Personally, but that's just me.
I gotta disagree.
That's fine.
I gotta disagree.
You're allowed to be wrong.
So my own personal rules, and these are the rules that I think every fan should follow.
Mm-hmm.
I ask myself a few questions. Okay, so if you're a fan of whatever school, whether it's BYU, whether it's Utah, any school, these are the questions that I think you should ask yourself. One, is your school royalty for that sport? And by royalty, we're talking the big names. In football, it's Alabama, it's Ohio State, it's Michigan, Notre Dame, USC, Oklahoma, Texas. Those are some of the pretty much the big names, the marquee names.
Mm-hmm.
If you're one of those schools, you don't get to rush.
Why?
You win too much. It's
So,
expected. It is expected that you win.
But that's not true.
You've been there before.
Okay, so act like you've been there before, but they haven't. Each team has new players every year.
But as fans, it's not players storming; it's fans.
But you know what I'm saying? Like they're excited. It's a new team. It's not the same team year in and year out. Yeah, they have players that'll stay for 4, sometimes 5, and in Taysom Hill's case, 6. But they have. I mean, it's a new batch of students every year. I mean, if there was like 50-year-old dudes like that went to college there and everything, and they're rushing the field, okay, that's embarrassing. One, you probably have kids. Act your age, not your shoe size. But they're college kids. They are college kids.
I understand.
They're supposed to be dumb.
As a fan, you gotta know: is your school expected to win? And if you're one of the big football fan or schools, or a big basketball school like Duke, UNC, Kentucky, UCLA, UConn, I'm sorry, you shouldn't rush the court.
So if UConn wins the national championship in the March Madness tournament, their fans should not rush the court.
No, I'm talking about regular season.
Okay, but you're saying they shouldn't rush the court.
Regular season.
Oh, okay.
If you win a championship, celebrate. Fine, whatever. I'm gonna get there. Thank you, Mr. Right, for being wrong.
I'm always right.
All right. Next question to ask yourself: is this a big upset win? Okay. Going into the game, you should know roughly: are you favored or not? If you don't, 2 seconds and you can find it. You should know the Vegas line. Going into this last week, BYU was favored by 7 points. You shouldn't be rushing the field if you're favored going into it.
But the Vegas odds don't determine what's going to actually happen.
No,
yeah, it's like the odds and stuff. But if it's like that was an emotionally draining game. Everyone was invested in it. And look at Coach Sataki, how he reacts. And that just kind of feeds on to the fans. I'm just saying.
Storming should be reserved for special occasions.
Okay.
This was not a special occasion. You were supposed to win the game. Yes, it went to double overtime. Still, you were favored to win. You should have won. It wasn't an upset. Now, if we go back to 1990 and BYU beats number 1 Miami, yes, Storm, celebrate. That's huge. This win? No.
Okay.
Yes, it was an SEC school, but no. It's a 2-win school. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, is it a rivalry game? In rivalry games, most rules go out the window. I don't care about the Vegas line. I don't care what's going on.
When BYU beats Utah, rush that dang field. If
it's a close win, it's a good come-from-behind win, yes, Storm. I'm thinking back 2007, 4th and 18.
I was at that game.
So was I.
It was so great.
And I stormed.
Woohoo! I was too young. I would have gotten killed and trampled.
I had torn my ACL a couple days before, and I stormed that field.
There you go. Attaboy.
I was on crutches.
Ah!
But yeah, I'm thinking of that. I'm thinking the last-second victory in the kick 6, Auburn and Alabama a couple years ago, where they returned the missed field goal 109 yards to win the game at the last second. Storm! In those instances, abso-freaking-lutely storm the field. All right. Now, the next question. Is this a team that you play regularly, almost every year, if not yearly, but you haven't beaten them in a long time? Okay? If the answer is you beat them for the first time in a long time, I'll say 10 years plus, storm the field. I was in Logan when Utah State beat BYU for the first time in 17 years. Students stormed the field. My cousin, who was a student there, found me on the field and said, "This is so cool. I've never done this before. We've never had a reason to celebrate." That is a reason to celebrate. You just beat one of your in-state rivals for the first time in 17 years. Absolutely. This was not we played Mississippi State once, maybe twice before. No, not a reason to storm.
Okay, and it's not that I disagree with you, because I think all these points that you're making are great points, and I think I would only rush the field if BYU beat Utah. That's really the only team I would want to rush the field for. But just kind of just playing the devil's advocate, and everything. It's just been a rough season for BYU. It's
been intense. It's been stressful.
It's been very tense.
The cardiac coups.
I've lost 5 years due to stress watching this football season. Every game down to the last drive except one. I don't know if my heart can take much more. And so just being able to come out on top, it's just after a hard-fought game.
I understand.
The fans just want to celebrate with their team. I think it was more about getting with their team than just storming the field. That being said, I still wouldn't have stormed with them.
And the last question to ask yourself: how would you want to be treated if you just lost? Please don't get in the opposing team's face.
Agreed.
let them get off the field, let them be safe,
Yes.
make sure that the game is actually over, that it's on double zeros. That way you don't draw a penalty against your team.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and let the other team get off.
And leave them alone.
leave them
they
alone.
lost. There's no
Yeah.
need to rub it in more. They lost.
Yeah. Did you ever see the video of the kid who got in front of Bronco's face?
Mm-mm.
The kid from Utah, he was wearing suspenders, started talking crap at Bronco, and Bronco kind of took 2 hard steps at him, and the kid wet himself and stumbled away, tripped over his own feet. Don't be that guy.
Really.
Don't be YouTube fodder.
But really, though, it's all about being with your team. That's the whole point of storming the field or the court or whatever. It's to celebrate with your team. Leave the other team alone. And this actually happened in my high school. We lost to our rival team, and our basketball coach, who I won't name names, obviously, took after the refs because it was a horrible last minute call. Like, it should not have happened. It was garbage. The other team banked a free throw in to win it. Like, he missed one and then banked the next one. So, like, coach was really mad. He still shouldn't have gone after the refs to talk to them. But he went off and started to go talk to them, and some kid got in the way, and the coach just, like, kind of threw him out of the way. He got in big trouble for it. Like, suspended and, because, it's a student. The kid got in his face. He got in the opposing coach's face. The kid is an idiot. Now,
be respectful.
Just be respectful. I mean, there's no need to rub it in. There's no need to gloat. It'll be all over social media within 5 minutes, and that's bad enough. And they lost. That's like the worst feeling in the world.
So, and then the last question: did you just win a championship? You just won a conference championship. You just won a national championship. Go celebrate.
Yeah,
that's fine.
On the field.
That's fine. But use judgment. Those should be special times, not beating a 2-win Mississippi State.
It's true. But I've provided enough context for people to know what it's like to be a BYU fan this season, I think.
I'm well aware.
And
as one who lives and dies with the team, I'm well aware. So let us know what you guys think, if I'm right or wrong with my questions. If you think BYU fans were justified or not. Give us your feedback.
Yeah, leave a comment below. This has been 4 Downs
with Danny J
and Mr. Wright.